In today's video, we will be applying the 5 components of posing that we learned in part 1 of the PLP Framework video to my first render that I created way back in December 2018, learning from my mistakes to create a much improved render. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Palmy and I designed this YouTube channel to help you master DAZSTUDIO and create the best renders that you can. In today's video, we're going to be continuing with the PLP framework, and that is we're going to be looking at this render here that I first created all the way back in December 2018, and we're going to apply the first part of the PLP framework, which is posing. So I'm going to go over the 5 components of posing, and we're going to look at this one here. I'm going to look at what needs to be improved. So we're going to look at all the mistakes I made, and then I'm going to recorrect everything using that framework to make this render even better, to make this render as dynamic as possible, make this static, boring render the way it looks right now, and we're going to make it even better by applying just the posing portion of that framework. That's what we're going to be doing in this video. So I'm excited to share that process with you and showing you the power of this PLP framework. So the first thing I'm going to do in this portion of the tutorial is go over the 5 components of the posing portion of the framework. So number 1, which was character figure and posing. Let's have a look at this character figure and posing. Let's assess it right now. So if you have a look at this pose right now, there's no thought put into this pose whatsoever. This is a standard pose that comes with DAZSTUDIO, the free one. There's no thought being put into this pose at all because I didn't understand, right? I didn't understand posing at the time. I'm brand new to DAZSTUDIO. I don't know what posing is. I don't understand the significant impact of posing to a render. I'm just choosing a pose and this is what came out. So the pose can be definitely improved. This is not good enough. This is very novice, but with time, with effort and energy, with practice and progress, and you start to understand the importance of posing and how it really impacts your renders, it can make a huge difference. So this posing here, there was no consideration when doing this pose. So that's something you need to figure out, is when you're creating your renders, you need to think about the pose. What are you trying to show your character doing? So in this case, I have no idea what this character is doing. I have no idea whatsoever, but this pose definitely can be improved. Problem number 2, the character's feet are not on the ground. Rookie mistake. So as I rotate this, you will see at the bottom here that there is gap here from the foot here. So you can see here, if I zoom in a bit more, there, the character's feet are on the ground. She's floating. What is that all about? So again, another rookie mistake. What is that all about there? Character's foot is not on the ground. We're going to resolve that issue as we're going through. So what I'm literally doing is I'm going through using that framework, the posing framework, and assessing my current render and see where I need to improve, because in order to improve you need to see where your mistakes are and how we're going to do that. So that's very, very important. You're looking at your work and looking at it critically. You're using the framework to guide you. So we're going through and giving you a system, a process to guide you to improve your render, something to think about when you're creating a render. This is the importance of the PLP framework, especially the posing portion here. Moving on to number 2 of the posing portion of the framework, which is expressions. Now look at this expression on this character. This is a basic expression that I believe comes with the pose. There's no indication of what this expression is all about. All you can see is this character is looking to the left. So let me go to my main camera here. This character is looking to the left here. Why is this character looking to the left? Is there something here on this left hand side that this character is looking at? Is there something, someone? Why is she looking to the left? No idea. But that's where my viewer is going to look. My viewer's going to look at the face of this character and then look to the left, but there's nothing there. So there's no thought again being put into the expression. Why is the character looking that way? What is all this expression about? There's nothing there. It's pretty blank, pretty plain. There's not enough emotion there that's going to hit your viewer. So again, that needs to be improved. So the expression, again, we need to work on that. Number 3 of the posing framework, which is hair posing. So let's have a look at this hair. This is the Toulouse hair that comes free with DAZSTUDIO. So for Genesis 8 female characters, this is the hair you have. Now, this hair is not D-Force hair, so it is your standard non-D-Force hair. So if you look at the hair, there's no flow of movement of the hair. There's nothing happening with the hair. It's very static, not a very dynamic render whatsoever, but we're going to work on that. So we're going to look at that hair and see what we can do using the information we've learned from the posing framework about here what we can do with non-defaults here. We're going to apply that in this render as well. Moving swiftly on to number 4 of the posing framework, which is posing of clothes. So if you have a look at these clothes here, these are the standard, again, DAZSTUDIO clothes that come free with DAZSTUDIO, the standard clothes that come for Genesis 8 female. And this is, again, non-default clothing. So I need to think about how am I going to use the clothing to make it more dynamic. Is there anything I can do? Are there morphs in there in the clothing? Are there any bones that I can manipulate in order to create that movement of the clothes? It's going to make my render, my static render, more dynamic and really going to catch my reader's eye or my viewer's eye because it looks different to what everyone else is doing. I'm putting more thought, more detail into this render. And finally, number 5, camera posing. So let's have a look at the camera. This is the camera here that I decided to go with when I did the render. So if we go to render settings here, we have a look at general here. I'm actually using the active viewport dimension, which means this is being rendered here like this using these preset dimensions here. So I didn't know about this when I first started DAZSTUDIO. I had no idea you can choose specific dimensions. I just hit the render button and off we went. The render was created. So again, through practice, through progress, learning more, developing more, I understand now that we've got different dimensions here we can use, and obviously I've created them custom ones here since then. I wasn't thinking about how the camera plays an important role in terms of what the viewer sees and how you want the viewer to portray your render. So the camera, very, very important. There's no depth of field here as well. So everything's in focus. So what is my focal point? What do I want my viewers to look at in this render? At the moment, the viewer can look at anything. There's no focal point, nothing like that. So I'm not really helping the viewer out here. Also, my character is central to this image. Boring, right? That's really boring. The central is not very well balanced. I'm not using the thirds guide here to balance my render out to make it more visually appealing to my viewer. So there's lots to be done here. There's lots of notes for improvement here, and I'm going to go through that improvement right now. I'm going to do it live, the process. I'm going to share with you. So this may be a long video. You stick with this video, you're going to learn some of my processes, the way I'm thinking, and it's going to really help you to make your renders even better. So let's go and start this process and make this render even better. So a quick note I want to make before we get started making those relevant changes using the posing portion of the PLP framework is I'm not going to add anything to this scene. Whatever is in this scene, we are going to use, because this is the power of the PLP framework. You don't need to add anything. Yes, I could add things. I could add characters. I could add lots of things into this scene, but that's not what it's all about. I want to show you the power of this framework. And when you start thinking more systematically using this framework, the things that are already in your scene are going to be enough sometimes in order for you to create whatever you need to create. We're using what's already inside DAZSTUDIO to create our renders, to make them even better. And once you understand and use that as a foundation, then when you bring in other things in, when you bring in other props in or other characters in, that's just going to add to what's already there because you've got the foundational knowledge, you're thinking about it more systematically, you're acting like a pro, and that's what I want for you, is to start thinking more like a pro, thinking more systematically, and really enhance your renders, make them even better, show that you are making progress, because that's what this channel is all about, to help you to create even better renders. So the first thing I'm going to do is assess the current scene. I want to assess what's here. I want to see what I like, what I don't like, where do I think this image I'm trying to create, this render I'm trying to create that's in my head, and I want to make it visible here in this render inside DAZSTUDIO. What can I do with what's already here? What can I work with to make this render even better? Because at the moment this render is very poor. So I'm assessing the scene. I'm going to zoom out a bit here, and this is the pergola scene that comes with DAZSTUDIO. It's a prop that comes with it free. So I'm looking around and seeing what I can do with it. I'm assessing the scene. I'm looking at these pillars. These pillars look pretty interesting here, and just by looking at the scene, the focal point appears to be this fountain here. So I'm going to use that fountain as my focal point. I'm assessing the scene and thinking like, okay, I could do something with that fountain there. That looks kind of cool. And then we've got these pillars here as well. I could do something with these pillars here as well. So the first thing you want to do is assess that scene. What do you like? What don't you like? What do you think what kind of creativity comes to your mind, your imagination. That's what it's all about. Because what I've come up with here is what I think is cool. You might come up with something else. That's the whole purpose of art. It's subjective, right? Remember, there are 100 million ways to do the render here using what's already here in this scene. I've just picked one of those 100 ways that I like. You might find something that you like that's completely different to what I've decided. That's fine. You go with that, right? You go with that because that's your instinct in terms of creating the artwork you wish to create. So I'm going to zoom in here and I'm thinking, okay, I like this here. This is going to be my kind of like focal point here. Now I'm thinking, where am I going to pose my character? Because I'm definitely not having my character standing in the middle of this fountain here, which looks ridiculous pose at the moment. So we're looking at the character figure, the posing. Where's my character going to be positioned? Where are they going to be positioned? So that's why I'm interested with this pillar here. I'm thinking like, this is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my character here somewhere. I'm going to have them like a pose here where they're kneeling down or something like that. So that looks kind of cool. So that's what we're going to be doing now. And my character is going to be facing this fountain here. So when my viewer looks at this render, they're going to look at my character and see like, oh, my character is looking at this fountain. Why are they looking at this fountain? And then you'll realize why they're looking at this fountain, because this is the focal point here and my character is going to be pointing towards that direction. So my character is going to be like here in a squat position here, and they're going to be looking in that direction there to the fountain, because there's something really important in the fountain over here. And that's where my readers, I'm kind of like guiding my viewer here. So my viewer's going to look at this character here. That's the first thing they're going to do. And then they're going to look over there, because that's what the focal point is here. That's what I want my viewer to look at. So let's do that. Let's make that happen. So I'm going to select my character here in the scene tab here, because I want to add the pose. I'm going to go to smart content here, default here. I'm going to click on expand poses here, and I'm going to click on function, and I want a crouching pose, and I have lots of crouching poses. So let me go to crouching here, and these are all the crouching poses I have purchased. And the one I want is, the one I like the look of is this one here. This one here, where she's kind of crouching, she's got her fingers, she got her hands here. I like this pose here because I want my character to be crouching down over here. So I'm going to double click that and apply that. Right, so here's my character. Now I need to move my character into that position. So let's do that. So let me just drag my character over here, because she's supposed to be hiding here by this pillar. I'm going to rotate this as well. So it's something like this. Let's bring it down here. Let's move this camera around so we can get it. Oh, again, she's not there. She's floating there, so we need to fix that. So remember, it's all about learning from our mistakes. That's what it's all about. That's how you get better. You've got to make the mistakes in order to get better. That's the most important thing. So making mistakes is not the end of the world. Learning from them is the whole purpose of this. We need to learn from our mistakes. Turn this around here. That feet is not on the ground. No problems. Bring it down. Something like that is okay. That looks pretty good, and my character is there. So is my character looking towards that direction? We're going to fix that in a second. Let me just shift my character this way a bit more. Probably right on the edge there. There you go. That looks pretty good, because I want my character to be looking at this fountain. So at the moment, my character's head here is kind of looking in that direction there. So I'm going to just twist the lower neck here. So I'm going to go side to side here a bit. There we go. Where she's kind of like looking towards the fountain now. That looks pretty cool. Now let's fix the poking here. So let's apply what we've learned here. So let's have a look at this pose here. So at the moment we've got a problem with the hand here. So what we need to do is fix that. So let's go over here and move some of these around. Let's have a look. So let's bend that. There we go. Let's move that there. So this is the whole purpose of posing, is you're going to have the poses are never going to be accurate. They're never going to be like 100% like, oh, you use that pose and they're going to need no refinements. Chances are every pose that you buy is going to need refinements, and that's what it's all about. So it's kind of like intersecting there. I don't really like that. It's intersecting too much, so I'm just gonna see if I can fix that using the bend here. Something like that. This thumb here needs to be bent a bit more. So again, here the thumb, I can only go to a certain limit here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just remove that limit. I'm gonna remove that limit. So again, we're applying what we've learned in that posing there, in the posing portion of the PLP framework, part 1. I'm applying what I've learned there. So I'm applying that, I'm removing the limits there. So I don't like the way these are here, the kind of fingers here. So I'm going to use the bend here to just fix that. Now what I'm doing here doesn't really matter. We're not going to see the fingers when I move the camera around, the position I've decided to put the camera in. We're not going to see the fingers, but it's the details that matter. It shows that you care. You care about the details, and that's very important. Even minor details, people think like, well, you're not going to really see the fingers, so I don't need to do it. That's not the point. The point is a professional always thinks about details. We always think about details. We don't just wing it, right? We don't say, oh, well, that's okay, that's good enough. No, it's not good enough. You've got to go and put the effort in, and put in that effort because you care about what you're creating, and that's very, very important. This is often overlooked by a lot of creators. It's just like, well, you know, it's good enough. Sometimes, yes, it is good enough, but what's that saying? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're cutting corners here, where else are you cutting corners in your life? So think about that for a change. So the details matter, and that's why we are taking the time to do this. So again, here the hands needs fixing because we're going through the ground here. Again, we're not going to see the hands really. We're not going to see much difference here, but I like to do this, right? It's practice as well. If you think about it, you're practicing a skill. The only way to get better at something is to practice it, and that's what it's all about. We're practicing a skill. We're thinking about the movement of certain joints. So for example, here you can see, I know the thumb needs to be kind of like squeezed here. Again, I'm going to turn off the limits here. This is me doing it in real time, like real time. I'm doing it in real time here to show you that I'm applying the posing portion of that framework. How does that look? That doesn't look too bad. That doesn't look too bad. That's okay. All right, let's sort these fingers out here. So again, I'm doing this in real time with you, showing you kind of like my process. Let's move this not side to side a bit. There we go. And also, when you are doing this, you're getting the practice, like I said earlier on. You're understanding what particular sliders move, what particular joints. That's how you get better. What joints, how they move, how the human anatomy works. That's going to add realism there. So I know a lot of you want realism. Well, realism starts from your posing as well. So most people look at the skin, etc., and everything else to do with the skin. Oh, it's realistic skin and realistic that. Show me your pose. Show me your expressions. Then I'll give you the realism. I'll see if it's realistic or not. The skin is only just plays one element of that. Most people just stop at the skin. You actually want to think about the skin, the hair, the pose, right? What are we doing here? So that's what it's all about. It's not just, oh, look, I've got this great character with super realistic skin. Show me your expression. Is it realistic? I highly doubt that your expression is good enough as well. So you need to think about these things as well. Okay, that's good enough for now. How does that look? That's good enough. Now, obviously, I would spend more time on this, but if you want a tutorial that's 10 hours long, I could do that. I'm not going to make a tutorial that's 10 hours long, because even I wouldn't watch a tutorial that's 10 hours long on this. But you understand the basic concepts. I'm using the posing here, understanding, thinking about how the fingers are, because obviously fingers aren't super straight. There's a bit of bend here, so actually there should be a bit more of a bend here on the portion here. So we should be bending something like that. If we really want to be as realistic as possible, these ends would actually bend in like this, something like that. There you go. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Let's have a look at this. Right, so the feet here intersecting the floor, do not like that, so let us change this. let's change this. Is anything else intersecting? That's okay. So I'm gonna just do side to side here, probably like that. So, and I'm gonna get this portion here and bend this here. Right, I don't like that it's intersecting here at the bottom, so let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can move this right thigh rather. Let's see if we can bend it a bit higher up so we can do that. Yeah, that looks better. And maybe I can bend this a bit more. Let's remove the limits for that bend there for the foot. There we go, and then I'm going to just do a slight twist the other way. The twist, I'm going to remove the limits for the twist. I want more movement. I'm going to remove the limits. There we go. Then I'm going to bring this down here, something like that. That looks pretty good. Now, do you have any issues with the knee here coming and hitting that arm? No, we've got some space. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then let's focus on the back foot here. So this is all character posing. We're using the character posing here, so I'm going to, actually that's not too bad. I mean, I could bring this down. We could go to this leg here and say, you know what, let me just bring it down. That's not going to work. Let's have a look. Yeah, that'll do. That will do for now. See if we can move the leg here. There we go. Right, that's what I wanted to do, so that's okay. Right, do you have any issues here? Any intersecting joints? No, maybe that needs to be more up like this actually. That doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that looks good. Much better. So there's more thought being put into this pose here. I'm thinking more about this pose. I'm thinking about the joints. I'm removing those limits to create what I need to, and my character is facing that way. Yes, they are. They are facing towards that. Maybe I need to change that a bit more. So maybe I need to come back to this when I'll position my camera and remove that. But essentially the main portion of the posing is done. So that is number one, character figure posing. That is complete. I'm happy with that character figure pose for now. I may need to adjust the head later on, but the majority of that pose is done. So I'm happy with that. Now moving on to number two, which is expressions. Not all renders that you create will have the camera facing the character so we can see their expression. So in this case, because my camera is going to be at the back here and this is going to be the focal point here, what I've decided to do earlier on, it doesn't really matter about the expression, so that's not important in this case. So we're not going to be focusing on the expression. However, you would still go through the framework, right? You will still go through this process, meaning you do number one, your character figure posing, get that done first. Number two, depending on where your camera is in the scene and you're going to have the character there, number two is expressions. So we're going through, it's like a systematic approach. We're being more systematic, more thought being put into what we are doing. That's what it's all about here. So that's very, very important. We're putting some sort of process in place so we don't miss anything out. So when you hit the render button, you're like, oh, actually, I missed that, the expression there, that expression's not right. Or, you know what, I forgot this, I forgot the clothing, maybe I could have done this. You have a system. We're not wasting time. We're being more methodical in our approach. That's what the professionals do. You have a system. Every artist has a system, a way they work. And I just want to help you to create your own system. That's why we're going through this PLP framework. We're creating this system to help you, make you more efficient, but also to help you create better renders. On to number three, which is hair posing. So this hair is the Toulouse hair. And if you've seen the previous tutorial, part one of the PLP framework, you will have seen that Toulouse hair in that part of the framework where I talk about the Toulouse hair, where the morphs are not very good. The actual active morphs are not very good, meaning the style and movement, there's only certain amount you can do before things get a bit hinky, meaning like when I remove the limits here for the windy morph here to give it something, some make that hair look a bit more alive. There's only a certain amount you can do before it kind of like goes crazy. Look at that. That morph isn't very good. So because we're trying to be better with the artwork, we have to think differently. So I'm just going to put that back to 100%. So looking at this Toulouse here, we have a problem where the back of the hair here is intersecting into the clothing. So we need to change that. So what we're looking for is a morph that allows us to do that. And I believe the morph for this Toulouse hair is back out. So I can increase that here. So let's do that. Let's fix that right now. Need a bit more. Something like that is perfectly fine. So the hair is no longer intersecting the clothing here. It's actually looking a bit more believable here. So I still want to make this hair more dynamic. What do I want to do? I want to make it better. Let's make it look like there's wind in this hair. So there's wind flowing. So let's make it flow from, the wind is flowing from the right here, coming from the right, for example, and is blowing the hair to the left here. So the wind is going from in this direction here. So my hair technically should be coming out like this. So this portion of the hair should be going into like her face here, and this portion of the hair should be coming out like this because the wind is blowing like this in this direction. That's what I'm thinking. So let's make this hair more dynamic. So let's go back to the Toulouse hair and see what we can do. So we've got her option here left out. Let's see what that does. That looks kind of cool, right? That's bringing the hair out. Cool. So let me remove the limits for that left out there. How much can I push it before it starts to look weird? So yeah, that's starting to look a bit too weird there. If you can have a look at the front. So let's remove that. Let's put it something like, I mean, we can have it at 100%. That looks believable. Doesn't look too weird. Maybe I could push it further. Something like, yeah, maybe something like that. It's okay. Just pushing it. And we want this portion of the hair to kind of push against her face. So right out, we just want to bring it towards the face more. So the right of it more. Right, ignore the expression here because we're not focusing on that, although I could fix it. Something like, yeah, we can go like that actually. We can, because you're not going to really see that. So because the camera is going to be like this, you're not going to see that. So that looks pretty good for now. However, we can do better. So it looks like the hair is kind of not enough there, like she's wearing a wig almost. So the hair looks like, doesn't look believable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what else I can do. Maybe make the hair longer. So lower neck hair longer. Right, we can do that. And then that means I need to adjust the back out again. So something like this. Let's see what side out does here. So side out, yeah, that brings it out more. But I don't want both sides to come out, so I only want the left side to come out. So what I'm going to do is I want more of this side to come out. So I'm going to duplicate the hair. So I'm going to click my Toulouse hair here, edit, duplicate the node here. Now we've almost like thickened the hair. I'm going to make sure I click on Toulouse hair number 2. And even though it's got the same properties of what we had before, I'm going to push those properties even more. So let's go back to actor here for the second Toulouse hair. This is the second one that I've just made a copy of the original. And I'm going to the left out. I'm going to push that even more. And with the left out here, I'm going to make that longer as well. So if I have a look here, there is a setting here, adjust sides out left. No. I want to make this longer here. It doesn't look good enough. So what I'm going to do is increase the size. So I'm going to go to Toulouse here. I'm going to go all the way up. I'm going to, where it says fit mode, I'm going to change that to allow auto form transforms. That's going to allow me to change some settings. So again, I need to bring those hidden properties because I can't see the scaling here at the moment. There's no scaling here. If you have a look, the scaling is hidden. So let me go to preferences, show hidden properties, and let's increase the scaling here. So let's do actual general scale here, something like this. So now I need to bring it down. I need to bring it across. I need to rotate it as well. Can actually use these controls here, so let's do that. So we can use these controls here to kind of twist it. Move it across like that. Bring it down. That looks okay, I think. Let's do a quick IRA preview and see what that looks like. We need more here to come like this, and we need to fix that there as well, so we can do that. So let's go back to the actor here. Let's go to the back out. Do it a bit more here, make it a bit more believable where it's not intersected there. And let's see if we can get more of that left out now. Like this, so we're kind of covering that bit there with the original, with the second duplicate of the hair, and then with the original Toulouse hair, I'm going to do the windy hair a bit here. Then I'm going to do the same with the Toulouse hair. Let's go to windy hair again. The windy option here. I'm going to turn off the limits, which is already off there. Cool. And let's apply that as well. Something like that. So let me see if I can get the side out a bit more. Let's scroll down here. Let's try left out a bit more. Not for you. I want the original Toulouse here, and I want to do left out more. So where is the left out? There it is. For the original Toulouse here now we're at, which is the one underneath this one. So let me see if we can get more left out here. How does that look? No, don't want to play with that. Okay, so that looks okay to me. It's a significant improvement. Now, is it fantastic improvement? No, but we're doing the best we can with what is inside this, and this looks a whole lot better. So even if we just move around here, you can see it looks a whole lot better from the camera angle that I'm posing here. So here, if I look at the front, that doesn't look too bad, right? That doesn't look too bad for making a duplicate copy. Now, if I turn off the duplicate copy here, Toulouse hair, you can see what it looks like. The original hair looks like that, and when I made the necessary change to Toulouse hair, that looks way better, right? That looks much more better. She's got a fuller head of hair, and it just looks significantly improved. So that is applying number 3 of the posing framework there, the hair. We've took what was already there with the original hair, duplicated it, and turned off the limits for the morphs there to make that hair looks even better. So there's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do with the existing hair. Even this hair, the Toulouse hair, not the best hair, but we managed to make it work. And that's the power of this framework. We're thinking in a different way. We're thinking more professionally, and that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to become better with what's available inside DAZSTUDIO, because all these little details do matter. So again, the purpose of this was to act gravity. How does gravity look like on my character's hair? It looks so much more better now. The gravity looks better. Actually, the hair even looks better now when we duplicated it. So that's something you can think about. If you've got hair that doesn't look that thick or doesn't give you that coverage that you're looking for, duplicate it, change the fit mode to autofollow transformations, bring out these parameters here, and start experimenting as well. So this, again, this is a skill you can use that's going to help you in your future renders. So let's turn off the IRA preview there and let's move on to number 4, which is posing of clothes. So what can I do to these clothes to make them pose better in terms of gravity acting on these clothes? So let's assess the situation. Well, first of all, if we have a quick look at the clothing here, for example, this skirt here, this should be more coming down more. So this skirt should be coming more like down like this. Gravity is going down like this. So it shouldn't be like this really. It should be coming down like this. So let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can make this portion of the skirt kind of conform more to the leg here. As for the top, if we have a look at the top here, maybe we can, I mean, there's a bit of air there. Maybe we can make this top a bit more tight fitting to conform more to the body here, for example. And maybe we can, because gravity will be playing a role in this, so maybe we can have the clothing be more conforming to the skin, for example. Let's try that. Let's see what we can do with what is available to us. So let's start off with the skirt first. So let's go to the rocker skirt here, because that's what it is. Let's go to the morphs. Always start off with the morphs. If there's any morphs, let me just turn off the hidden properties. Always start off with the morphs. See if there's a morph that can do the work before we start going into the more advanced details. So always see if there's a morph. Try that first. So I want the skirt to come back. So let me see. Back out. Maybe that's the one for us. Yeah, back out. That doesn't look too bad. Let's have a look. Actually, I want more. So again, I'm going to remove those limits. Let's remove the limits. I want more. So let me remove the limits. That looks better. Gravity coming down. That looks way better. What about the front here? What can we do here? So let's have a look at here. Adjust sitting. No, I don't like that. Loosen front. Okay, so loosen front. Let's see what that does. Loosen front moves that up and down. So there's loosen belly. No, I'm going to leave that. Loosen hips. No, I'm going to leave that. Loosen waist. No, I'm going to leave that as normal. So it kind of looks like it's going to be loosen front. So I'm going to remove the limits for that. And then I'm going to just go negative to allow me to do that. See if it lets me do that. Yes, it kind of lets me do that. So maybe that's too much. Let's have a look. So there is some intersection there, I think, because of that. No, that's the way the clothing is. Okay, that's the way the clothing is. Okay, that's fine. So I'm trying to get this to kind of go on the thigh here. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's good enough. That's believable. Okay, so let's go to the back here, the actual top. What can we do with the morph for the top here? So I don't want to loosen the upper back. Actually, I want to leave that. I want the lower back. Is there a lower? Is it a loosen waist? Is it? Okay, so loosen waist. So I'm going to remove the limits for that because I want to go negative. I want to make it a bit more tighter here. So how much tighter can I make it before we intersect the skin, or the geometry rather, of the character? That looks good enough. Okay. Right. There is a bit of poking there, so let's fix that, which is going to be loosen upper back. Just increase that there, and then let's have a look at anything else we can see. No, I'm happy with that. So maybe we can twist the skirt to come to the left, because the wind is coming from the right to left, even though this is going to be blocking it. Let's see if we can create that illusion of something happening. Let's see if we can move this. So let's go back to the skirt. Can we move it? Yes, left out, right out. Yes, we can. We can kind of do that. So cool. Okay, so let's go back to this side here, because that's where my camera's going to be. What does this left out do? So it does kind of twist it. Actually, I prefer it like this. What if we go into the advanced, the hidden properties rather, and let's go into the bones here and see what we can do. So pelvis, If I twist this side to side, what happens? Okay, that's better. There we go. Okay, side to side. So yeah, we're getting some issues here with that, but we're trying to, so I'm going to leave that as is. Maybe if we come down and do left thigh bend, maybe that might be the better solution here. Yes, left thigh bend, there we go. Okay, so that's giving the skirt more coming out that way. May need to fix this, so let's try the bend here. Does that let me fix that? Yes, it does. So I'm going to just bring it down a bit here. Let's just move this around so we can see. Yep, that looks okay. Right, so I've got my skirt moving as well. That looks more realistic as well, like the wind's blowing in. Now it's not excessive, I didn't want excessive, but there. So that's, again, applying, thinking about the posing of the clothing here. How can I make the scene more interesting? I mean, I could go crazy and really go and push that more to the side if I really wanted to extreme, but that's good enough. It shows some form of movement. The clothing is fitting gravity here, looks more believable, and that's what we're trying to achieve here in this render. Is we are using that framework to make our renders more believable in terms of posing, and then everything else comes from that. On to number 5 now, which is the camera. So posing of the camera, where are we going to place this camera? What is our dimensions going to be? Let's figure that out right now. So I've already got my camera here actually. So let's move this camera around and see. So what I'm going to do to frame this, so I need to get my thirds guide. And also, what dimensions am I going to choose? So let's actually go do that first. Let me remove the thirds guide. Let me go to render settings. Click on general here. I'm not going to active viewpoint. I'm going to actually have widescreen setting. That's fine. I actually might just go HD. There we go. So that's what I'm doing. That's my dimensions here. So now I'm going to apply the thirds guide here, and let me move this around and see what we can get. So again, if this is my focal point, I want this fountain here. I want it to be somewhere around here, or at least in line here somewhere, and my character can be somewhere in line here. If I can get it in line with this line here in my thirds guide, or somewhere around this area, that's great. But I'm trying to get this focal point to be here, of this fountain to be here somewhere, as close as that to possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, remember, but it needs to be balanced out, because that's where my character is looking. So let's try to do that now. So let's zoom in a bit here. Let's go like this. So again, I'm going to use that Z rotation. Let me click on my camera here. Let me just hide those hidden properties because we don't need those now. Let's do the Z rotation. Let's do it like this. No, we need to do it like this in order for this to be as close to that. And let's move like this as well. So my character's head is actually in line with that, and this is in line with that. So it's not too bad. Let's do a bit more here. Now let's move this across. There we go. I think that doesn't look too bad. Now again, I could spend hours doing this, but this is just showing you the framework in action. So there's my focal point there. My character is looking in that direction. That's okay. I'm happy with that there, and my character is here as well. Good. So what I'm going to do is lock that position. I do not want to move that position. I'm happy with that position. We are not moving that position whatsoever. Now, as far as the depth of field, because that's what we should be looking at next, I can do that now. So I kind of like want the depth of field, even though I don't want my focus on my character, I still want the depth of field to kind of be focused on this area here. So let me just set that up now. Now, obviously the depth of field, you can change that. There's no right or wrong with that. You can change it. So I'm just trying to set it up for now, and then I can always change it later on. So let me just move the depth of field. Let's turn this camera around, perspective view, so we can see what we're doing. Let's line this up with the fountain, something like that. for now, and I can always change it later. So let's see what this looks like, just out of fun. Let's see what this looks like. Let's do iRay preview. Have a bit of fun. Let's see what this looks like. My camera there. Okay, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I don't actually like that the character's a bit too blurry here, so I might increase the f-stop to something like 30 here. So it's just barely kind of out of focus. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe if I put it to 40. Let's see what happens. So my character just barely in focus, barely out of focus, sorry. 40 is okay. Let's see what the perspective looks like when I do that. The focal distance. Go to camera here. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. So my character's kind of looking in that direction there. That's pretty cool. Okay. So now that our posing is all done, we've applied the posing portion of the framework. Now we need to apply the lighting portion of the framework. But before we do that, we need to know the lighting elements that we can use inside DAZSTUDIO and how they work and what effect we're looking for. And it's exactly what we are going to be discussing in next week's video. So join me for that, where I'll be talking about the different lighting methods, how I use it, what's applicable for what situation, the different ways you can use lighting, and how it's going to enhance your renders. That's what we're looking at. So that's the second part of the PLP framework, lighting. So we know posing, we're going to look at lighting. That's going to be really exciting. Hope you'll join me for that one next week. If you like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out any more great videos like this. Also, don't forget to leave a comment down below as well. Is there anything you want to add to this video? Did you find it useful? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. That'd be very much appreciated. And until the next video, always be learning.